I do have with me Duke Mensah Opoku, who is our parliamentary correspondent and host of press conference and the chamber on City TV, as well as Kofi Kapito, who is the CEO of Consumer Protection Agency. Good morning, Duke.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well.
It's always good to have you with us.
Thank you. Yes, same here.
And good morning, Mr. Kapito. How are you?
Good morning, my dear.
How are you? It's your first time on Breakfast Daily.
Yes, beautiful set.
Thank you. So we'll take a look at our first story here, talking about PDS, and I'm reading from page 3 of the Daily Graphic. Page 3 of the Daily Graphic says, PDS splits public opinion. I'm going to read briefly what they have here. The government's decision to abrogate the power concession agreement with the Power Distribution Service has elicited strong reactions from some energy sector think tanks and political actors. The Institute of Energy Security and the biggest opposition party, the National Democratic Congress, have welcomed the cancellation of the, quote, stinky contract, but said the decision raises critical questions for government and the Millennium Development Authority to answer. So I'm going to read out some of IES's concerns. That's the Institute of Energy Security. The first thing they said is the discontinuance of the current stinking and awful PDS concessionaire agreement by the government of Ghana comes as a great relief to the IES and to many Ghanaians who see the agreement as cooked from the very onset for some persons, judging from the manner in which processes were circumvented, with some key conditions precedent converted to conditions subsequent to allow takeover. They go on to say that they don't agree with the restrictive tendering. Restrictive tender promotes corruption and cronyism, kills transparency, leads to high cost of services arrangement, does not provide value for money, and does not give wider alternatives to choose the best company to perform. So, Mr. Kofi, I'll start with you on this topic. Is IES right with the way they are responding to government terminating?
I'm a little
PDS's
confused about
deal?
the headline that says splits, heads or decisions. What's the split in their statement? On the statement from the...
Well, they disagree with government.
No, they say they agree. They are happy.
They are happy, but
Yeah,
they are not satisfied with the restrictive tender bit.
No, that's another
Issue
thing
on its own.
altogether. This is something that has been muted by government. Whether they're going to do it or not is another story. But I also agree for the abrogation of the contract.
Okay, why?
Because you know what? Certain things that were supposed to have been done wasn't done. I will not use words like stinking.
Okay.
I would say maybe bad judgment.
How so?
Bad judgment in the sense that there are terms of reference or conditions as to what somebody needs to meet. And based on the FGI report, the conditions were not met. So to me, if we find out, let me even say that even if president to be bold enough, okay, and say, listen, I'm the president, the buck stops with me, I'm not happy with it, go ahead and cancel it, I'll say kudos to the president. People have made these arguments that, and to me, I don't buy that though.
Okay.
The same president that was being accused that he gave it to his family and friends is the same president that has come to say that let's cancel it. To me, I think he is a Ghanaian and he thinks as a Ghanaian. That is why he went and said, based on the facts that has been presented to me, I think it should be abrogated. So I support the president 100%. We can go into other details as to the
Restrictive tender.
Yes, to me, especially what happened, that is the last thing we need to do.
How so?
Because when people are crying that certain things were not done right, what about transparency? Okay, if we did due diligence, as we should have done, I don't think we would be where we are.
So you think government didn't do its due diligence?
I didn't say government.
Who's the we?
I'll put the blame basically on everybody in a sense that, yes, we felt that just because somebody is going to give you over $400 million, if he says jump, you don't even ask him why.
Well,
You
I
say
don't
how
think
high.
that the criteria was just on the money that they had to provide.
No, it was the money.
It wasn't just the money, though.
It was
was
the
also
money.
the work they were going to do in the sector itself.
Which work? What work did they come to do?
PDS?
Yes. What work to come and collect revenue?
Not necessarily
They
revenue, but
listen, the staff of ECG
carried over to PDS.
So what is the technical expertise?
So you think it was just an issue of money?
It was just an issue of money.
Okay.
There's no technical. There's 99% Ghanaian workers at PDS. I would even say maybe the top 10 maybe would be non-Ghanaians.
Okay.
So what are we talking about? It's the same people that we were accusing them for not doing the right thing. And the same people who are there. I know everybody that is still at ECG. It hasn't changed. So what I'm saying is, it was just a matter of money, and the people could not come with the money.
Okay.
In terms of technical know-how, I don't think PDS came with any technical know-how.
Okay. Okay. Now, IES also has some concerns with the MMC. So I'll share, that's the Millennium Challenge Compact. And they're saying here, I'm still reading from page 3 of the Daily Graphic, they said, government should not overly fixate on second MMC, which has the government always negotiating from a much weaker position. So they're saying that, yes, MMC is supposed to, we were reviewing it, we're doing all these things for MMC, but we should even look beyond MMC. Do you agree, or we should take advantage of the funds that are available?
I agree 100%.
Let me
give a typical example. When we went through the banking crisis, government of Ghana was able to come up with $4 billion US. Where did we get the money from? It wasn't from any fund international. It was Ghana's money. And if energy is that important for the development of Ghana, I think we can also find money to fix our electricity issues in Ghana. I'll give you a typical example. I was fortunate to be part of this thing in the last administration.
Okay.
USID put a team together that we should go and look at how it is done in India and Uganda. And when we went to India and Uganda, we were advised basically that we should be very, very careful about this whole thing. Because even Uganda does not even have a lot of penetration in terms of electricity. Uganda only has about 25%, the whole country. Ghana, we are almost 80 something, almost 90. So we are way ahead of them. Then we went to India. India is not a place that you should even go and look. The illegal connections in India alone. I mean, it is interesting. I think there's a documentary, is either on Al Jazeera or one of those things, that a guy, his job is to do illegal connection, and he's been electrocuted several times. And he said, look, the question is, yes, we need our electricity fixed. No two ways about it. There is an issue of the way we've been doing things as a country. There is something called commercial and technical losses. These are the areas that we should look at. There are some technical losses that you can't do anything about it, because the machines and all those things can actually cause some technical losses. But the majority should be able to be taken care of by, if we have people who will do the job, do it right, and collect the revenue right. And then consumers who should also pay their bills on time also will do that. Fortunately, we have a lot of prepaid customers in the system now. So I would say, even in terms of collection from the residential clients, it has gone up.
Okay.
So to me, all these things, look, Ghana can do it. We have what, 30 million people. Let's assume that we're going to float the shares or go to the stock market, as we've taken other Ghanaian agencies to the stock market, and they are doing well. If every Ghanaian was to put, let's say, 20 million people or 15 million people to 500 Ghana cedis, we will raise a lot of money.
So then we
raise more than
won't
what-
need MMC.
Yes.
Okay,
I mean,
thank
I
you.
don't even agree that somebody sitting somewhere. This is a sovereign country.
Okay.
Ghana cannot tell America what to do.
Okay,
So
that's-
if we as Ghana, yes, it's your money. If you don't want to give it to us, fine. But
Okay.
you can't tell us what to do.
Perfect. Duke, your thoughts on what the IES had to say about MMC and us maybe looking beyond MMC as well as critiquing the restrictive tender process?
Well, this Millennium Challenge Compact, this is not the first time Ghana is benefiting from that. So I'm thinking that even though this is in an area which did not, or which the last compact did not cover, the last compact, the best thing most people point to is the N1, which is what came out of that compact, which ended. Because of the success of that, we're able to get onto this one, which is focusing on electricity, business investment, and all of that. Government finds itself in a very, very difficult situation right now. For me, I would want to know why the Americans or MCC is still insisting that PDS should be there, even though the report they commissioned, which is the FTI report, the FTI report could not, in essence, point out to any fraud. But the report also points out that the report can only go as far as the information that was available to them, which means that there was some critical information, some key people that they could not speak to before they put together their report. So the report that they could not point to fraud was only limited to the scope of what they were able to do during that. And the Ghana government's report says, well, we worked through our mission there, we spoke to everybody involved. We think this is far-reaching enough, and we've come to this conclusion. So for me, it's the kind of schism or divide between the government of Ghana and the MCC in this space regarding whether there was fraud or not has to be cleared first of all. Now, all the documents that we've seen, the letter from the finance minister was supposed to have been a response to a letter that was written by the MCC to the government of Ghana, in this case the finance ministry, pointing out some things that we had to do to be able to stay on stream to benefit from this compact for the remainder. Now we have $190 million much more to access. Compare that $190 million to the assets of ECG, $3 to $4 billion in terms of the assets that they have. And let's decide what is good for us. At the risk of losing $190 million, the rest of, the Compact 3 is on its way. If we're not able to tie this up properly, we may lose that. And other benefits that we may want to get from the US government going forward. But in the first instance, it should be an insult to us, for want of a better word.
Why?
That in essence, we are saying we can't manage our electricity.
How so?
The
whole intention of the compact was
to
assist us in our development as far as the energy sector is concerned,
to do what?
and our industrialization.
To manage what? To manage the distribution sector of our power. Why?
Yes.
Because simply put, we've been mismanaging it over the years.
So if you're a sovereign country, you can't take help from another country.
That's
Is that
not
what
the
you're
point.
saying?
I'm saying that it should be a blot on our conscience. It should be an insult to us.
That someone is assisting us?
That we cannot manage the distribution of our electricity. Do you know how many countries Ghana was supplying electricity to when the Akosombo Dam got commissioned in the early 60s? And up till now, we cannot manage our electricity distribution very well to the point that we say we've thrown our hands up in despair. We need support
because
to be able
it's
to
cost
to be able
intensive,
to be
and
able
you're
to.
aware of it. This year alone, we've
For
had to
how
pay
much?
extra
For how much?
tariffs.
For how
We've
much?
had to place tariffs on electricity because the sector is expensive. So if someone is assisting us, what's so wrong with it?
It all points to the fact that we need to get our act together.
Okay.
We need to get our act together. And with this issue of restrictive tendering, we've had 5 years to do this, and look at the mess in which we've landed ourselves in. First, it was supposed to be a bank guarantee, and it was supposed to be a condition precedent, which means that this is something which has to be in place before the agreement is consummated. We did it without that. We agreed to do that without having the key financial instruments that will underpin a deal of such magnitude. We didn't do that. And now we want to use 2 months to choose someone. I am really looking forward to the official statement position, government position, because as at now, we are hearing 2 voices from the Energy Ministry. One saying that the agreement has been terminated, another saying that we are communicating an intent
to terminate
the agreement. Which is which? What are we working on? Are we working to meet the deadline of, and we've heard there's another deadline of 31st October, or we are working to meet the deadline of 31st December? These are critical issues that we need to really thrash them out very quickly, so that managing of electricity is key, especially when the country wants to drive an industrialization agenda. But for me, the first thing that this points out is that it should be a shame and a blot in the conscience of us as a people and our leaders, that as at now we cannot manage the distribution of our electricity to the extent that we found ourselves in this mess.
Okay.
You know, let me just add a little bit. Like when I was part of the delegation that went to India, one of the things that came out was, listen, if government of Ghana is going to do this concession thing and is going to pay whatever government owes to the concessionaire, why can't government pay what it owes to ECG? Yeah. For ECG to have enough money to also run the... Look, when we came back, when we were in Uganda, their finance minister told us a story. He said, look, let me tell you what, we Africans, we don't do the right things. He said, every ministry and every government agency and every government institution does its budget, including electricity. And he said, because in Africa, they know government owns electricity, they will not even use it for the bills. They use it for other things that are not important. So I have directed the managing director of UEME, where they call their electricity company UMEME or something like that. If anybody owes you electricity, take their lights. When we came back, and if you can recollect, ECG tried to do it, but they did it at the wrong place. Instead of going to the ministries, going to government institutions, guess where they went and tried to do it? The polytechnics. You remember the brouhaha about the lights? That is what happened. We didn't have the balls, we didn't have the guts, because we should have taken, look, if you check the White House, they pay the electricity bill. 10 Downing Street, they pay the electricity bill. I want to know, has the Flagstaff House or the castle paid electricity before? You will use it, we don't want to pay. The question is, time has come. The reason why I was even happy, I was sold to the fact that when the management team come, they will manage it so well that it will even reduce the cost of electricity
to the end team.
Yeah, to the end user who I represent as a consumer group. Guess the condition that PDS gave before they even started, that they should increase electricity. If you don't know what pertains, why do you come and sign that agreement? And PRC went ahead and increased electricity. Why? The man comes and does feasibility studies and say that, okay, this is a viable business I can sink my money into, and then you tell me that if you don't increase electricity, I won't be able to go and get whether finance or support from somebody.
No, but that has to do with cost of production as well, right? And issues in the sector. It's not just, it doesn't, and it's
why you have the superior
I'm asking you the question. Is it just because they were increasing to the consumer because they needed the money, or just issues within the sector as well?
Issues about what?
Just managing the sector
Which
in general.
money? No, so you don't need money. You told me that you manage it well for the price to go down. You're not even in there. And you're asking me to pay more.
But PURC even said the tariffs they placed were low. We should have been paying more.
Which was low. You see, when they say that, I get very, very frustrated. Have they looked at the salaries of the Ghanaian? There's something called ability to pay. And this country, we don't look at it. We live in a country that people live, I won't even say mouth to mouth. In other jurisdictions, you live from paycheck to paycheck because your paycheck is enough to sustain you throughout the month. I mean, I don't want to put you guys on the spot. I'm sure if I was to do a survey here right now, I can have a lot of your workers who would tell me other stories. The question is, you cannot force water out of a stone. That is why there's so many underdealings. I'm trying to be charitable this morning. And our dealings, I'm not going to use some words that other people will use. We should be truthful to ourselves. Okay, why should a worker be paid 1,000 cedis when per kilowatt hour of electricity is about 23 cents or 23 pesos? It doesn't add up. We don't do research, we don't do data, we don't do all those things. At the end of the day, people will still steal electricity. Because look, electricity, God is so smart. When he created the world, he didn't say let there be water. He said let there be light. So God was even afraid of darkness.
Okay.
So people will say, oh, if you can't use it, if you can't pay for it, turn it off. I beg to differ. This is 2019. How do you tell me that I don't need electricity?
Okay, so on that note, we'll go for a quick break. This is Breakfast Daily on CCTV. Let us hear your thoughts with the hashtag Breakfast Daily, and the WhatsApp line is 0550-585-832. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on CCTV. Thank you so much for staying with us. I still have with me Kofi Kapito, who's the CEO of Consumer Protection Agency, and we also have Martin Kpebu, who's the Executive Director of the Human Rights and Governance Center. Duke had to go so that Mr. Kpebu will join us. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, before the break, we were discussing the Institute of Energy Security and the minorities' issues with how things have gone with PDS. And the minorities actually asking for the dismissal of the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, and the Minister of Energy, Mr. Amewu. And I'm going to quote Mr. Johnson Esiedu Inketia briefly. He says, "Their shady and negligent conduct in the handling of PDS concession agreement has created this mess." We know from Ken Ofori-Atta's termination letter that even though ECG did not receive the requested confirmation and proof of due authorization by Al-Qut by the transfer date, the ECG was compelled to confirm acceptance of the demand guarantee despite the advice by Hunton and Williams LLP transaction advisors. So he's saying that the Minister of Finance, Minister of Energy, and everyone else involved should have done their due diligence before handling over the 22 billion Ghana cedi assets of ECG to PDS. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm not sure if I read it right, or I heard you right. Basically, what the literature on this shows that on the transfer date, there was a letter, okay, so the demand guarantees had been submitted. What Hunton and Williams advised was that, look, as for due diligence, it's not a one-day event. By all means, you can continue doing due diligence. And they were the ones who advised ECG to further verify. So as far as I'm aware, it's not the case that by the transfer date, there was no demand guarantee. There was, but Hunton and Williams advised ECG to conduct further due diligence. So it was actually, so those, the lawyers, yes, they work with MEDA. So in that, you know, MEDA is basically a government agency. Yeah, MEDA brought them in. So this ECG was advised to do further due diligence. I don't see something untoward about that. Yeah, it's difficult. I'm wondering, maybe because it's been some time, perhaps if it's the paper that didn't capture it well. Because it was clear, a guarantee was presented. But if you look at the timing to the transfer date, there wasn't sufficient time to conclude due diligence. So the lawyer said, oh, take it. After the transfer, continue. So if you continue and you find any more fees, you have rights under the contract. So now that they continue the due diligence and they found something wrong, they've exercised their rights.
Okay, but what about holding the Minister of Finance and Minister of Energy accountable for it and dismissing them?
You see, I'm trying to situate in our Ghanaian context. Our politics hasn't reached that place. You see, the first point is that so far, we haven't seen that it's the finance minister who directly procured the demand guarantee. It's not him, nor the minister for energy. And don't forget, it was even the minister for energy who came out. You see it. So that shows a lot of, integrity shows that he was being very proactive. For a minister to come out and tell his own government that this thing is fraudulent, it tells you that he's done something good. So in our context, you know, if I had a question about an hour earlier, I'm sure my brain would have put together some patterns. But right now, I'm just imagining, it's just like those days when the Wyoming matter came out. Yeah, the finance minister was asked to resign because we had paid money when it wasn't supposed to be paid. There are so many examples. So the point is that our politics hasn't quite reached that place. So it means that for us in Ghana now, we generally will ask you to resign when you are directly involved. You see?
But who do we prosecute for this? Because someone should have done the due diligence.
Oh, as I stated, from all the materials I have seen, okay, what happened was that they said, look, let's go on with the transfer, but continue with your due diligence by all means. So if later Al-Kut is saying that Al-Nuri had no mandate to sign, they don't even offer such a product and all that, I just think that once it's generally accepted that the due diligence process continued, I really don't see how we want to hold the finance minister or minister for energy. Okay, so this one is an international, or let me say, it's a matter involving Al-Kut and its country of origin. Basically, with what they've done, it means that government, and I understand they do other businesses with government. So with this, I'm sure in the oil sector, yeah, they do a lot of good business. I understand that's how come they even came into this one. So government will be wary in terms of dealing with it, Al-Kut in the future. You know, it's not always that every case will necessarily have to land in court. No, the courts don't even have capacity to deal with every case. No.
And this isn't just any case, is it?
So
this is the energy sector of the country
so
we're talking
you see,
about.
good. So the question is that now, if you are talking about prosecution, Al-Kut, they don't, as I say, yeah, I understand they do business in the oil sector, but this is not their country of origin.
Yes,
so
but Al-Kut aside, shouldn't the Ghanaian delegation, whoever engaged these foreign businesses in the first place, done their due diligence to see that, hey, this company we are engaging, they don't even have their demand guarantee, so we shouldn't, you know, hand over ECG's assets to them?
Oh, so then we are talking about MIDA. So you see, MIDA in itself, you know, that's what I say, MIDA, sometimes we look at it as an international organization. No, MIDA is basically government of Ghana. Minister of Energy, Minister for Finance, you see a number of persons employed. Okay, yes. So basically, the point is that, and when it comes to approving the transaction, they set up a committee. So you see the whole MIDA boss, Eson Benjamin like this. Eson Benjamin had nothing to do with, I mean, directly in terms of approving the concessionaire. No. No, because it's a committee that they set up. It's a big committee. That's why I said representatives from Attorney General, Minister of Energy,
Minister of
all
Finance.
those. Yes, it's a committee that approves. So if that is so, that means that we have to prosecute the whole committee.
Isn't that possible?
Not on the circumstances of this case. That's why I said you look at each case and assess it on its merit.
How do we hold people accountable?
No, yes, you.
Case?
Oh, this
aside
is also
like firing
this
them.
is also accountability. Now that they didn't do a good job and it's X on our face, you see, we are discussing it now. It's also a form of accountability. So you see that government is hot. You see, they had to terminate the agreement because somehow I'm sure they want to prevent opposition from using this as an election topic, right? Yeah, so it's a form of accountability. So what it tells you is that I'm sure from everything we hear, the president is not happy about the job, what was done, right? Yes, and I'm sure moving forward, he would have lost some trust in the persons who were on the committee for not doing a good job and all that. Yeah, so all in itself, the fact that they've even terminated, that tells you the public pressure. It's a form of accountability. So accountability is not always about go to court and jail the person. Don't forget, even when you start a prosecution, the aim is not to jail the person at all costs. A prosecutor goes to court to present evidence. Then the judge will look at it and decide. It's not a prosecutor's business to force a conviction, even when the evidence is not good. So in this particular case, I really don't see how you want to prosecute Al-Kut. And for those...
Or MIDA.
No, yes, exactly, no. So the committee that was in charge of making sure that the condition precedents were met, it was such a large committee. I'm looking at it. I think that, look, the strongest thing going forward, Dziffa, is that ECG was advised that continue the due diligence. That is very key. Anthony Williams didn't say, oh, it's all cut and dry. No. They said, continue the due diligence. So that tells you, and it is standard that some of these transactions, don't forget we had delayed and all that. You see, and Mr. Kapito made a point earlier, and Duke, which I subscribe to, the whole of this problem that we have. I mean, as a personal view, why we had to engage in this exercise in the first place. ECG, yes, because these foreigners were going to take all our money away. Let's speak locally, you see. Yes, I mean, ECG, this is a big demand. You know, ECG makes about 120 million Ghana cedis a week.
They make it every day. 200 million collection.
Yeah. So you say,
A
I
day.
think understand is 120. Okay, the one I've seen is
Yes.
120 a week.
Okay.
Well, if you have different, so at least bottom line is that ECG is a cash cow. ECG was not going to fail.
And it can function without
Yeah,
the
so-
Millennium Challenge Compact.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So it tells you that look, it's time we set up. We can manage our own stuff.
Okay,
See.
so thank you. On that note of managing our own staff, we'll move on to the next topic here. I'm reading from citynewsroom.com, and it says, weak leadership responsible for ECOWAS problems. That's coming from our president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So the president has blamed weak and unresponsive leadership for the slow pace of integration among member states of ECOWAS. This comes on the back of the closure of Nigeria's borders with Benin, a decision adopted to halt smuggling. So I'm going to quote the president briefly, and of course he was addressing a conference on ECOWAS Court of Justice in Accra. He says, our problem over the years has been leadership. The implementation of plans to bring progress and prosperity to the 350 million citizens of ECOWAS has been left to well-meaning technocrats and bureaucrats. However well-meaning they may be, our region cannot make the bold transforming changes it needs to make without visionary political leadership. We need leadership that is focused on the region and not on individual countries. Once the political will is evident, we can then work together to make ECOWAS a true regional community. So, Mr. Kapito, let me come to you with this one. We know that Nigeria has been tightening its borders, ensuring that nothing gets in. Meanwhile, it's part of ECOWAS. So should they be doing that? Shouldn't they open up their borders for other, neighboring countries to come in? At what point do we protect our individual interests while still actively participating in ECOWAS?
I'm laughing because I'm happy that the president was bold enough to admit that it is leadership.
Okay.
That is the cause of our
But didn't we
destruction.
all already know that?
Well, no, at least if you say, they say you're attacking the president.
Okay.
Are you getting my point? So for him to say it, I am happy, I applaud him.
Okay.
The question is, what happens after that? Okay, talk is cheap.
Yeah.
And that's what we do in Africa. We talk without action.
Well, Buhari is not just talking,
I'm just
he's
saying-
actually
no,
implementing
so
it. It's
fine.
what he's doing right.
So
to close your borders when
Can I
you're
tell-
part of
no,
ECOWAS.
He has identified something. He says, I'm closing my border. He didn't say permanently. Maybe he needs to fix certain things before he can reopen it. Hasn't America, isn't Donald Trump building a wall?
Yes, but
I'm just-
Mexico and America are not
I'm
in
just-
any ECOWAS thing.
It says who?
Okay, what are they in?
They have the North American,
Yes,
Now,
but
I'm just telling you.
there are exceptions
All I'm
to it.
say- no.
Immigrants coming into
All I'm
America
saying is-
illegally is different from
You-
someone
you
in
see-
Benin
you see-
trading with
you see,
someone
I
in
will make the
Nigeria.
argument that then the immigration of America is weak. As the
that one it
yeah,
is. So
as
that's
the
not an
president
issue.
is saying
but
that
if we're talking about regional integration
Regional-
and
the man
ECOWAS.
has identified a problem in his country. He's entitled to fix it. It might inconvenience you. I agree that it's not a good thing. If he says, I'll close my border permanently, then we can say that then what's the need for him being a member of the ECOWAS? I'll give you a typical example. Do you know Ghana is a member of the Commonwealth? Do you know there are other Commonwealth countries enjoying things that Ghana does not enjoy? So why aren't we talking about it? We are all members of the Commonwealth. We do Commonwealth games. We do Commonwealth this. But in terms of issuance of visas, other Commonwealth countries enjoy better than Ghana because the United Kingdom or the other members have decided that this is what we want to do when it comes to our borders. I'm not for the fact that Nigeria has closed because they are our closest friends in the sub-region. Basically, it's difficult even to tell the difference between a Nigerian and a Ghanaian. Okay, but I am not so much against the president of Nigeria if he says, oh, some people are doing something illegal, so let me close it. Let me see how I can make it better, and I'll reopen it. I don't have a problem.
But when you look at other regions, for instance, let's take the Southern Bloc and the Eastern Bloc within the continent, what have they gotten right that, you know, ECOWAS is not getting right?
What ECOWAS? Wasn't East Germany not allowed to come to West Germany?
No, I'm still focusing on the African continent.
Yeah, I agree that leadership, in terms of agreements, in terms of whatever decision that we have as a collective thing, that we are going to do open borders, where I can leave Nigeria all the way to Burkina Faso when everything is in order.
Yeah.
Okay, that I don't have a problem. But when the migration commissioner, who is not doing, where the workers are not doing the right thing, I'm not the one to go and fire him. It's the president. So if the president himself has realized that maybe lack of political will, as he puts it, and poor leadership, maybe now we should not focus entirely on this border closure. It's a bigger thing. Okay, try to go from here to Lomé. Just Lomé. Exactly. And see what will happen to you. Okay, the Togolese will tell you the same thing. Try and come to Ghana. You see what will happen to you. Because individuals who has been given a mandate that, as I was talking when we went to Uganda for this concession thing, it was led by the USAID. So it was a white lady who had all the money. So she thought, being American, they pay $50 for visa fee to enter Uganda. So he gave each of us $50. When I gave my passport to the Ugandan immigration officer, he looked at me, he said, my brother, what are you doing this for? You are Ghana. Me too. I'm Uganda. Me, I come your country. No visa. You too, you come to my country. No visa. My brother, take your money.
Okay, wow.
Uganda. Try and do that at Kotoka Airport. Try and do that at what's the Nigeria
So these
airport.
are individuals. So beyond the leadership, individual citizens are also responsible.
Let me explain. It's the leadership who should fire people.
Okay.
Me and you, him, we can't fire anybody.
Okay.
And like you're saying, how come you were asking him people, and he said in this political thing, we haven't reached there yet, people don't resign. In other jurisdictions, it's no. Okay, when you realize that maybe you didn't do it a little better, you don't wait to be fired. You just say, you know what, I made a mistake, I step aside. Okay. Let somebody come.
But what would this mean for Ghanaian businesses, for instance? If you're part of ECOWAS, you see other people from other countries here trading. Our traders are constantly frustrated that they're not even following GIPC laws, but then other countries are closing their borders.
Yeah, you see, like I said, I don't think the president of Nigeria wants to close his borders permanently. Yeah. Like I said,
probably, so as long as it's temporary, it's
yeah,
it's fine.
Because they are saying that that is what they are saying, that they have actually banned certain items that should not come to Nigeria, but they are seeing them in numbers in Nigeria. So they want to know, how is it getting into Nigeria?
And of course,
so
it's being smuggled in.
Let me close my border. Let me see how I can correct this. I'm sure maybe by the end of the month, I mean, sometimes you need to be inconvenient to get something better.
Okay. Council.
ECOWAS
and leadership.
Yes, I mean, he's basically said it all. So basically, you know, they say that when you've diagnosed a problem well, then at least it's 50% solved. Yes, so leadership. Of course, though, but that particular mantra, sometimes I'm like...
We've heard it since Nkrumah's time.
Yes, exactly. So you would find that, yes, there's a leader, but when the people are stronger than the leader, Charlie, you can't have it. And often, I think in a part of the world, that's what happens. The people are say collective. We basically haven't signed on. You see, as Mr. Kapito mentioned it, the immigration officers, but I understand they say they've stopped there. I haven't been there.
As for Kotoka Airport, there's massive improvement.
Yes, and seriously. I'm talking about the Togo border. The Togo border. I understand they've stopped, though I've not had the opportunity to verify myself. But that's always been the narrative. So it's always been that the officers want to collect the money for themselves, put the money in their own pockets. So they would put impediments in your way. There's this very popular story that's been told over and over. People trying to cross the border, you show the passport, then they say stand aside. Somebody comes and he presents a few CFA or a few CDs, then he is allowed in. Yes.
So you're not taking the passport.
Exactly. You see. So though we say leadership is everything, okay? Yes. But there are also times that if you look at the people, yeah, the people are really a problem. So yeah, people, as in people here, we are really a problem.
Okay.
You know, we talk is cheap. That's the problem. That's why sometimes when I'm asked to come and speak, I'm like, oh, listen, Charlie, let me examine my life well before I even come. Because it's like, we just keep talking. Talk is cheap. But when it comes to walking the talk, then it's something else. You say. So I really think that we shouldn't always say he's a leader. We are the people. We are really responsible because, you know, the politicians are very vulnerable because, you see, they do everything with an eye on the votes. You see, so they try to read the mood of the country and all that. And that makes them vulnerable because no politician wants very unpopular decisions. No. They want to do what the people seem to be in favor of, okay? And then in the process, the right thing doesn't get done. When you talk about fire, and the way Kapito is saying fire, as soon as you fire a number of people, the chiefs will dress in all their regalia and go up on the president. Yeah. You know, BC chief, no, this one is our son. This. You see, it's a political patronage system. So in one word, if you understand our patronage system, then you understand why our politicians act the way they do.
I'm not a lawyer, so can I call him a counsel?
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know. No, you people are fine because sometimes you get offended when I say my learned friend. You say,
it's a joke.
Okay.
But you see, let me just say something. I will not agree that it's not a fault of leaders.
No, I didn't say so. I'm saying an eclectic. It goes around. Eclectic, all of us.
Even in a traditional sense, people were sent outside the community.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You think the chief didn't want to be popular?
Excommunicate, yes.
I'm just saying that we have given up because we think, look, there's a guy in Arizona called Arpaio.
Yes,
Arpaio was the sheriff of Arizona.
Yes.
He was arresting illegal immigrants before Donald Trump came.
Yes.
It got to a point, it became a problem for the hotels and other small business because they use this menial labor for. Then Obama weighed in and said, Arpaio, what he's doing, he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Arpaio told Obama that if he doesn't like what he's doing, he should go and change the Constitution of the United States because the Constitution of the United States mandates him, Arpaio, to do what he's doing. The question
but eventually he was convicted for contempt of court. You know that?
No, Arpaio, it was like Arpaio won re-election. After saying that, he won re-election. But what I'm saying is, look, there are a lot of examples. Tony Blair's wife.
Okay, we have to move on.
I'm just saying, forgot to pay her train ticket. She was asked to pay a fine. In this country, can anybody ask Mrs. Rollins to pay a fine? Mrs. Nadu Mills, Mrs. Kofor, Mrs.
We are getting there.
No, we are not getting there.
We can't get there. No, this country is making progress a lot. No, you're underestimating us.
No, because you know what?
The country is changed.
We are not taking
the
as for that one, as for that, I'll disagree. You don't see the dynamics. This country is changing. Go to social media. Oh, look, even this president. Look, let's come. Look, take the appointment of Mr. Amidu. I can point you a number of things. The president is listening to the public and he's gone in that direction. Please, as for that, I would disagree.
Even the chamber, but we do have to move on now to the final topic. We do have to move on. Respectfully, we have to move on to the final topic.
So we are
CST saga, my directive to telcos backed by law. That's Ursula Owusu to Ato Force. And I'm reading from citynewsroom.com. It says here, the Minister of Communication, Ursula Owusu Akufo, has rebuffed Minority spokesperson on finance, Ato Forsen's criticism of government's reaction to implementation of the communication service tax. So Mr. Ato Forsen he insisted that the directive was unlawful because the minister did not have the power to issue such a directive. But she's responded and she says, I hold a contrary opinion, fortified in the fact that the Electronic Communications Act, which provides the legal basis for all mobile network operators to work in this country, also gives the Minister for Communications the right to issue policy directives to the regulator in the management of the sector. So since you are our learned friend, I will allow you answer this issue of people saying the minister had no basis asking the regulators to do that, and her responding to Ato Force and the Honorable.
Yes, so you see, basically, for the law, I mean, it's no brainer that generally it's given almost all the sectors. There's usually a general provision that the minister has power to issue policy directives. Yes, it's almost a given. You take the Ports and Harbors Authority, you go almost all the big parastatals and even the regulatory authorities. So it's usually standard. So I'm really wondering, I don't think things are said, because sometimes, and I believe in the fact that, okay, the minister does something, there should be a pushback. It helps because, you see, when there is friction, often it helps to improve. The minister will sit back and see next time, okay, should I have gone public? Maybe it would have been better if I dealt with the NCA on the side quietly. You see. So I always, as I said, like I was telling Mr. Kapito the last time, I think this country is changing rapidly in terms of the way we are engaging with state institutions, the way we are engaging with the political system. So I'm always seeing positives in it. Now with this banter, should have seen that, okay, perhaps it would have been better for me to deal with the NCA on the quiet, not grant interviews on it. But you see, instead of us concentrating on that, I thought we'll concentrate on what she's doing for us. The fact that the charge was being done upfront instead of doing it like a VAT. So consumption is a consumption tax, so to speak, right? So let me pay as I consume. I agree with her. Instead of us to concentrate, and that's the problem. We rather are going for the ones that really, of course, as I said, is brought. It helps our governance when ministers are opposed and the rest. It puts them on their toes. Yes, so granted. But beyond that, let's go to the substance of what she's done. Does it benefit us? Haven't you seen that you buy data, you bundle, then it says for 1 week. So as soon as the 7 days,
they take it away.
Yes, even if it's half, it doesn't matter. What kind of contract is this in a developing country? So for me, I think it's a positive. We should allow the minister for calling the telcos out. You see, because as Ghanaian, I don't think Mr. Capito is 40 enough. So the minister has had to help him out. Help all of us.
Speaking of Mr. Capito, the minister also said that Mr. Forson is in no place to give her advice, and taking advice from him is like going to the brothel for moral lessons. Your thoughts on what she had to say about that?
I will not wade into that. That is their personal issue. But to me, yes, one thing that the minister said that to me, like I said, if it's a law, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what. Airtel and Tigo were already rolling data. It is the industry practice for good customer service. That is why I will stick with a company, because they offer me more. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if the law can force the telcos
to do that,
to roll over. I don't know. I'm just saying, but I've seen, even in the advanced countries, it's not every telco that will roll you over. It is part of a package that they give you as good customer relationship. My biggest issue is with the fact that, as our council said, that pay upfront or pay later, the value is the same.
No.
Let me explain. Give me a time. When you go to UK,
briefly.
Yeah, when you buy something, the tax is already included in it. In the United States, when you buy, it's added on, so you know what constitutes. In Ghana, I go to a hotel or a restaurant and I eat. There's a bill for the food, and then there's the total bill. That tells me that the food and the total bill are two different things, but I am explaining what added on to for the total bill to be higher than the cost. 2.5 VAT, 2.5 get fund, all the tourism levy, 2.5 whatever, 12.5. I, as a consumer, I want to know why I'm being charged.
Okay, that's fine.
The postpaid people with or landline, do you know they were already paying the 6%, it showed on their bills. So what is a brouhaha?
So you're agreeing with him that we should be able to consume,
All I'm
pay
saying
as we
is
consume, not
whatever-
necessarily deducting it before we consume.
We have a system where we've allowed this prepaid thing to be sold anyhow.
So
That's what I'm saying. But in other jurisdictions, when I get to England right now, I can do a prepaid thing. But once I do it for a month, they tell me the cost, including the tax and everything on the receipt.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kofi Kapito is the CEO of Consumer Protection Agency, and of course, Counsel Martin Kpebu is the Executive Director of the Human Rights and Governance Center. Thank you both for being with us, and thank you at home as well. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The City Tube.
For exclusive Breakfast Daily content and other City TV programs.
Like, comment, and share with your friends.